Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Hear the Old Lore, Elden Ring Unpatched. Yesterday, we went through most of Liurnia again and kind of completed all of the side stuff that we could do for the most part. So now we're finally going through Caria Manor and maybe Caria. I said we were probably going to do other stuff on the stream yesterday, but I don't remember what I said, so we're just going to wing it as kind of how we normally roll on these streams. So, welcome back in, everybody. Cantrell, Mortis, Rick Val, Mercy. Nice to see all of you again. Hope you're doing well. So we did finish off fighting Loretta, and now we're going to be going through like the Three Sisters area to meet Ranni and check out Sullivan's creepy puppets and whatnot. And Nightbot's already coming in hot, calling out the chat and myself. Ash of War Imbue Frost. It's a pretty good one. I really like to use like Ice Mist. I can't remember what it's called on like my left hand weapon, and just have like a bleed on the right. So as we try to come into the rises, they're kind of closed off at first, at least Renna's is, until we like complete the whole quest. But this doesn't have a sigil on it. I don't remember if it has one in retail. I would kind of assume not, but you never know with what they change sometimes. John Bailey, nice to see you again. The music's so good, nothing in game really seems to match it tone-wise. You mean the opening theme? Teen Sith, nice to see you again as well. Vacuous, what ending would I like to see added into the game? I do think like a Moog one would be cool, but I feel like Mikola is probably the route to go for now. You feel sad from trying to relive the experience of the doll by creating Ranni. You can't beat the Maidenborn. Sullivan and Moog would get along well. So it's kind of funny that this passage to this puppet storeroom is like closed off and like hidden away, and then you get the sign that says Sullivan's puppet. So it's like, I wonder who this place actually belongs to. So as I was saying the other day on stream, or that was yesterday, yeah, we went through like the Albinoric village and stuff, and we did the Nephili questline. There is a random Omen Killer puppet in here, but for whatever reason, we can't get this puppet from Sullivan's or Pedia's inventories, and we never really see it come into play anywhere. Like, it doesn't show up at the Radahn festival or anything like that. So this has made me wonder if the Omen Killer we find at the Albinoric village is this guy. But I think that's also kind of a bit of a tall order, so I think could be like somebody's acceptable headcanon in terms of like plausibility, even though there really isn't a ton to lead to it, other than like we know Sullivan is interested in Nephili before we even show up. So at least she's on his radar, and so maybe he would be devious enough to mess with Nephili, if for no other reason than to get at Gideon, but I don't really know. So aside from that guy, we have this is the Nox Swordstress. Wait, no, this isn't the Swordstress. This would be a Night Maiden, wouldn't it? Because the Swordstress has a cone head. So we don't see the cone head? I don't think it's in here. I think I only see the one, but I might be misremembering. Then we get, what's her name? Dora's the Sleeping Arrow? I feel like I'm confusing this thing for, like, the Doris in Dark Souls 3, the fat monk lady with Doris's gnawing. So this is a finger puppet Theralina. We can see her at the Radahn festival. She doesn't do a ton. I think she like throws pots occasionally or like buffs the player somehow. And then we get Let Me Solo Her. Jarwhite. And these are the kinds of puppets we have available for now, as well as a hidden door with a suitable candidate for like a Sullen swap. And I guess we'll probably need to do like Sullen's side quest stuff at some point. But we don't need to worry about that for a while. And if you ever do send Nephili to Sullivan, she'll like end up here. And I think Dung Eater is like over here. I just might be swapping those two. Okay, that's a monk. That's a dude Nox? Are they male? I thought they were all female, essentially, because... let me put the HUD back on. Because we have the Night Maiden's Mist. Well, I guess the Swordstress does that, so I guess this guy could be male. I guess that might be more of a type A body type. Alright. So, long story short, Celivis is a bit of a creep. But to just speak about, like, puppets in general... Hey, thanks, Rat. Happy Revenge of the 6th to you guys as well. I forgot to wish everyone a happy Cinco de Mayo yesterday. RIP. So yeah, going back to the idea of the puppets in general, they kind of stumped me for a long time because I thought that since they could be controlled by others, they would be soulless, or like at least functionally soulless. But when you do get the puppets in your inventory, they talk about how you're summoning their spirits. So puppets can't be soulless because you're summoning their souls. Like for a while, I thought you just like summoned their body and you like, you know, kind of made them tap dance like a literal puppet, but it doesn't seem to be the case entirely. Took melatonin so the stream won't keep you up. Welcome back in, Elder Gusto. Leaf Lizard, nice to see you. I'm doing well, how about yourself? But I'm also not lost. Alright, so... turn off our HUD again to talk to Ranni.
Oh, again we cross paths. I believe I said my name was Renna when last we met. It pleaseth me to see Torrent hale and hearty, but tarnished. What business hast thou here? I have no memory of inking thee an invitation.
You must be Ranni the Witch behind the Knight of the Black Knives. We obviously have this dialogue because we talked to Rogier before initiating Ranni's quest line.
I see. Quite the sleuth, aren't we? Indeed, I am the witch, Ranni. I stole a fragment of the Rune of Death and used it to forge the god-slaying black knives through fearsome rite. I did it all. But sadly for thee, the curse mark thou seekest is not to be found here. I have slain the body I was born into and cast it away. And it is upon that flesh the curse mark is carved.
So that's kind of Ranni's big reveal. She's like, yeah, I did it. So what? And it really bothers me that you can't be like, why? Just to actually find out her motivations for things. But to go back to what Scallies just asked, it was, they wonder if they could turn someone into a puppet, then put their soul into that body as a way of stealing it for themselves. And I would argue that's probably literally what happens in the case of Selen. Yeah, your curse mark is in another castle. Pretty much. So, what were we going to say about Ranni? Yeah, her curse mark's on her other body, like her real body. She has 4 arms, and this puppet is modeled on the Nokron. I wondered if that Nokron is kind of related to the Revenant things that can ride horses and shoot curses at us, or the things that are just ridiculously difficult to kill if you don't have like a healing spell to stun them, which is a kind of lesser known technique and one that really is strange to me. And it does show that like the Revenants are different from those who live in death because they don't take any extra damage from the Golden Order incantations and they don't ever reanimate when they die. So there's something else. My pet theory about that is that they're probably like a living curse themselves, because if you heal them, that might be quote-unquote like soothing the negative emotions of the curses. But that's also my headcanon, and individual interpretations may vary.
And why should I reveal that to thee? I performed the act not to bury the past, nor in shame of the deed. But all the same, Thy begging compels me not a jot. The curse mark thou seekest is not here. That is all I will say. Now, be gone.
So that's pretty much what she'll say for now, but if you keep pestering her, she'll, like, accept you. Teen Sith said, to be fair to Ranni, if you bother doing the rest of her quest line, she does tell you her motives. You're not wrong, but what I meant by her motives is, like, why did she choose to kill Godwyn specifically? Like, we can't just be like, yo, what was that all about? And then she'd be like, oh, it's because of this. We're just kind of left to our own devices to figure things out. And oh yeah, by the way, Leaf Lizard, I meant to say congrats on killing Electo. Yeah, like Orochimaru body hopping to stay immortal. That's probably what Sullen's trying to do. And I also think like the Nox could have experimented with that, but it might not have turned out the way that they wanted to, and they probably like abandoned their pursuits. And I think it's a very good possibility like the Albinorix could be a byproduct of that kind of research. But I don't know.
The curse mark thou seekest is not here. That is all I will say. Now, be gone.
So if we didn't talk to Rogier first and like point our finger in Ranni's face, she'd be like, oh, hey, what's up? I didn't like really call you here, but you know, you seem like you could be useful. Why don't you join my posse? And they're like, okay. And then the Tarnished becomes a puppet of a puppet, essentially. So, why did I come back here? Oh, yeah. Like, so earlier today I was going back to get, like, footage for Dark Souls 3 and, like, Bloodborne. So I was like, oh, you gotta go back to your save spot, essentially, to warp places. So now that we talked to Ranni, we need to get further instruction from Rogier, because we can't think of anything ourselves. Godwyn was probably the most pure and the favorite for being America's replacement. It's a bit weird, like, especially when, like, we question when Marika told them to, like, pretty much kill each other or be sacrificed. Yeah, and as Teen Sith says, there's nothing really for or against Godwyn as being a kind of replacement for America. But that being said, with him being the Golden, I mean, it very much evokes the idea of, like, the Golden Boy, like, the favorite child. Possibly like the firstborn, so I understand why people would assume that of Godwyn. Yeah, Voldemort situation.
Always good to see you safe. So, what do you need?
Alright, so we could tell him what happened with Ranni.
I see. When Ranni shed her flesh, she shed the curse mark too. You know, not everyone would trust such a tale, but if she in her current form is nothing more than the living doll you profess, then perhaps it's true after all. Forgive the bluntness of the notion, but how would you like to become one of Ranni's vassals? Only in order to get what we want, of course. The location of the body which bore the curse mark, which right now I haven't the faintest. And the best way to find out is for you to enter her service and take a poke around on the sly. I know you've got what it takes. Not only are you a superb fighter, but people want to trust you. I've seen it.
So you need a job, just walk up to Ranni and give her a nice firm handshake. That ought to do the trick. I don't know, it's kind of naive how like he suggests that, but it's kind of funny nonetheless. The other thing that I think is kind of funny is how when we first talked to him right here, he says like not everybody would trust that kind of tale, and I feel like that's a pretty big message that I would like to impart on to the greater community at whole. Obviously, I don't think we have like much reason to doubt what he's saying or what she's saying right now, because like later on we'll know they're true. But just in general, I am a big proponent of not taking what things NPCs say at face value. Yeah, and that's the other thing. We don't even know if like Godwyn is technically or was technically an Empyrean. He's never mentioned, so there's just a lot of big questions around that. Is it possible he was as gigantic as his fish body is? I don't think that's super likely, if for no other reason than in the story trailer and like the intro cinematic, whenever we see the Black Knife assassins around him, he's like either being held down or like around the same size that they are. But to be fair, I don't necessarily think that those tellings of the story are meant to be 100% canon, because like we don't see Ranni in any of those depictions, and you'd imagine that she should have died somewhere close to Godwyn if they both died at the same time. Or maybe it's just like a weird collateral damage type effect, and maybe she was at a great distance from him. It's kind of hard to say. If Ranni knew how to kill her two fingers, why did she destroy her own body? Unless she didn't know about the Finger Slayer blade until afterward. Well, she probably thought she could remove her connection to the two fingers by getting rid of her body. She might not have had the full story. So I don't really know, just because like it would almost seem simpler to kill her two fingers in the first place rather than getting rid of her body. But it also calls into question like why she killed Godwyn to begin with. As I've mentioned in like one of my videos, it is interesting that Ranni died in body and Godwyn died in spirit, and I've wondered whether the cause of that is because Radahn has put a halt to the motions of the stars, thus sealing the fate of the Carian family. So maybe they could have colluded, or maybe Ranni just took advantage of the situation, knowing she wouldn't die if something were to happen to her. But we don't really know, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm like, I wish our Tarnished would just ask actual questions to some of these characters. Hey Saturn, welcome back in. Yeah, and Ranni does say that, but also keep in mind, like, she might not really need to, or feel the need to include Godwyn, because he's not exactly a being anymore. Yeah.
Dee was telling me that he discovered the mark of the centipede. The centipede is an ancient...
Oh yeah, we already talked to him about that. Okay. This proposition.
You become Ranni's vassal to advance our agenda. While in her service, you'll be able to take a poke around on the sly and determine the location of her original body that bears the curse mark. I realize that I'm asking you to put yourself in grave danger, but I know you've got what it takes. Quite possibly the only one, in fact. Not only are you a superb fighter, but people want to trust you. I've seen it.
Alright. So we can leave him alone for now. We'll go talk to Fia, because since we have the Black Knife print, she might like start her Weathered Daggers stuff. I don't fully remember.
I am pleased. Would you like the blessing? Would you like... Now.
It's gonna take 12 years for this animation. Does he die after killing Radahn? No. Well, I don't think so. I think his stuff is just dependent on either getting to like Morgott
Very well.
or like maybe Langdell.
I heard that you lent a hand to dear Rogier. He seemed positively elated. He must be possessed of great mental fortitude. It anchors his will and sustains him, despite his grievous wounds.
So this is another set of dialogue that I reference quite often in my videos. Well, I guess not. That's kind of a lie. It's something that I'll reference quite often, like in conversations about like the topic of like willpower in the souls. So with Fia saying that Rogier's mind anchors his will, that makes me wonder if mind is linked to the spirit and whatnot. Is that what keeps the will in the body, and will being a kind of, what's the word? Another word for, like, gold, essentially, like their runes. So, this is why I've wondered if, like, soul plus will equals life. And that isn't necessarily dependent on a body, so that way, like, those who live in death are still souls, and if they have wills, they can exist as, like, spirits, I guess. And I think with Rogier's case, it's like he has a really strong mind, aka like a strong soul, so it's able to keep his will to live going on, which is why he's like anchored and doesn't just completely get got by the death root despite him dying. And I actually do kind of like the fact that he did die as a tarnished and he still kind of exists and does his thing, because it's always been a bit of a headache, like why so many NPCs die after they encounter our tarnished or like play your character in FromSoft games specifically. So he's kind of an exception to it. Not the only one by any means, because like we have constant invaders like Kirk from Dark Souls 1 and 3. I don't remember if he was in 2. I'm pretty sure he wasn't in 2. Crichton from Dark Souls 2 shows up in Dark Souls 3 and can invade a couple times, I think. So for the most part, like, invaders are kind of like separate from that, but most NPCs die the one time we kill them, which is kind of always interesting. Like, they stay permadead. Except for, like, Blythe, obviously, in this game. But anyway, sacrificial twig.
Then good day to you, my dear.
And then forever to get out of this. It's weird when he talks about our tarnished being so scary, though. Maybe. You think it's that life can be physical life and spiritual life. And yeah, that's probably another good thing to point out, just because it's a little bit easier for us to say, like, oh, life is, you know, like, being physically animate because of, like, real life. But life in Elden Ring does function differently, and there might be an actual difference between, like, physical life and spiritual life, as shown with, like, Ranni and Godwyn. Because even though, like, Godwyn is soulless, his will is still there, I guess. So he is alive, but he's not. Like, he's no longer Godwyn, so it's just kind of weird. And so she hasn't done anything with D yet. I don't remember if D has anything else to say about that. I don't think he does. Okay. So this should be good enough for now. Let's go back to Ranni's Rise. And for anybody whom I'm giving conniptions by saying Ranni, I'm saying it like that on purpose to entertain myself. Canchel said, thinking about it longer, whoever has a point, why doesn't Ranni ever try to stop you when you take other paths aside from helping her? You're ruining her plans. That's a good question. It's probably because she's not very mobile and can't move around so well on her own. It's weird to think she sits around doing nothing. I mean, I don't think she, like, does nothing, but half the time, that's weird. Almost expecting to find, like, a Dark Souls 2 Invisible Hollow there. Most of the time, like, she's kind of spent idle or sleeping because of, like, the limitations of her puppet body. And I've said this in, like, one of my videos. I've wondered if the reason she has the body of a literal puppet as opposed to something like Sellen is because she doesn't want to take away the free will of something else like the Two Fingers would do to her. We don't know that for sure, but I like to think that because I think it would go along better with Celavis's dialogue of calling Ranni a gentle girl at heart. So, yeah. Why did she choose a doll body? That's why. It's a vessel. I think she just wanted to take as few lives as necessary. Like, she'll crack an egg to make an omelet, but she doesn't feel just like walking into the grocery store and like dumping out cartons of eggs, for as stupid as that example is.
The curse mark thou seekest is not here. That is all I will say. Now, be gone. Oh. Is that so? Thou wouldst render me aid? Is that thy proposal? Affording thyself opportunity to grope about for the curse mark's location, no doubt. Very well. There's nothing wrong with a well-laid scheme. What's more, if my past and past wounds beckon to thee, I am curious enough to see what thy destiny portends. I'll allow it. Enter my service, and good hunting to thee. Good. Then I ask we proceed with haste. There is, in my service, a half-wolven warrior. by the name of Blythe. I would have thee join him in searching for the hidden treasure of Nokron, the Eternal City. I have called for Blythe to greet thee below. Take from him the particulars. Ah, and there wilt thou find Egi, my war counselor, and Salavis, preceptor in the sorcerous arts also. Heed not their peculiarities. Feel secure in gaining from them what advantage thou canst. I am sure the others will be doing just the same.
So, Ranni talks about how she doesn't care if, like, we're trying to scheme against her. That's kind of funny to me. So, this is the time we would go and see her war counselors. And it does annoy me a little bit how long it actually takes to do if you're just, like, trying to speed through her quest.
Speak with the three who await thee below. Thou needst not indulge them unduly. But they too wish to appraise thy worth. It hath been a passing long time since a newcomer entered my service, after all.
Gee, Zelda. Okay. So let's go talk to the advisors. I guess they're not all advisors, but whatever. Yeah, imagine if she invades us at the end of the game. The funny thing is, like, if you piss her off enough, she can just, like, one-shot the Tarnished without even, like, actually moving. She's, like, definitely the scariest Empyrean. So it makes me fear to see what Miquella can do, right?
Oh, so you were the one. Lady Ranni has explained everything. Again, I am Egi, the Carian royal family's dedicated blacksmith and Lady Ranni's war counselor. I'm told that you are searching for Nokron with Blythe. I will give you whatever guidance I can, and pray for your success. My apologies for the misleading words of warning. I never imagined that an audience, let alone service to Lady Ranni, was in your fate. I, for one, should have seen it, but I did not. Do forgive me, my fellow. Let us give all that we can of ourselves, together, for Lady Ranni.
Scalezi says, Miquella's scary the same way Aphrodite is. Messing around with love is crazy dangerous. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. I was just gonna joke, like, instead of Miquella one-shotting the player, he just, like, straight up deletes your save. Godwin seemed like an empathetic demigod. Didn't he befriend the dragons? You think he's like Baldur, even Miquella, and that people probably just really liked him as a paragon? I think that's probably a fair assessment and would go along with the characterization of being the Golden very well. But to be fair, I think that's also impressing quite a bit on the text that isn't there, and there's just kind of like all inference, and I think it's important to just kind of delineate those two as well.
Let us give all that we can of ourselves, together, for Lady Ranni.
I'm pretty sure you have to like hear that line of dialogue too to actually get out of this loop.
Long time, friend. Blythe. Have you forgotten? Glad to have you in the service of Mistress Ranni. Well, getting right to business. I'm still in Limgrave. The eternal city of Nokron lies somewhere at the bottom of this land. I'm planning to go below through the well in the Mistwood. See if I can't find the road to Nokron from there.
I see. You must be Ranni's new hireling. Yes, I've heard all about you. I am Salavis, preceptor in the sorcerous arts. I don't know what it is the mistress sees in a provincial tarnished like you, but since we have the misfortune of serving the same lady, I ask that you kindly try not to drag us all down with you.
Sylvis is probably just my favorite for being so damn condescending. His voice actor is amazing for just his ability to make people loathe him.
I reside in another tower close by. Come and pay me a visit. Should you wish to be of actual service to Mistress Ranni. If it were up to me, I wouldn't waste my time on the likes of you. But who am I to stand against the wishes of my lady?
And I'll also say, like, I think Celavis is probably a very good case of, like, a fantastic localization in terms of, like, working in tandem with a voice actor. I don't remember actually looking at a lot of his lines too closely, but I think they would have, like, adapted this enough to just kind of suit the flavor that they were going with, which would be a very different thing, like, in Japanese. It would be, I don't want to say like sharper, but it's like a different kind of delivery. Like, sarcasm isn't played the same way in Japanese as it is in English, but that's a little bit of like enough like the linguistic rambling, I think. So I'll give kudos to the localization team for like the Celavis dialogue in particular. Like having insults like provincial are just like top tier nerd insults as opposed to just like something more direct. I should probably look up.
In another tower close by. Come and pay me a visit. Should you wish to be of actual service to Mistress Ranni. If it were up to me, I wouldn't waste my time on the likes of you. But who am I to stand against the wishes of my lady?
Alright, so that should be enough with the advisors. He has that dark elf arrogance. That's a pretty good comparison. You don't recall much, if any, lore pointing to Marika being motherly. A lot of that stuff, I think, is like subtextual in terms of the way she's portrayed as like a goddess of bounty and like fertility and kind of a de facto sort of love. But, yeah, I guess, like, in general, she's not, like, the prototypical idea of, like, nurturing, but it's a different... She's kind of more, like, akin to Mother Nature in that, like, she's fickle and very powerful, and you can't really win against Mother Nature. Might be a parallel to give. I don't know about that, though. Yeah, and Teensa says there's the "My Children Beloved" line in one of the echoes. I thought there was something like that, but I couldn't remember exactly off the top of my head. So thanks for providing that. The game tries to skirt around the issue of Marika as a person, but goes all in on the perception of Marika as a figurehead. Your great mother. John Bailey says, in the localization, is something like provincial ever added out of nowhere? Or is that as far as they go in giving a word a different flavor in the Japanese? So, alright, I'll look that one up directly just to get a bit of a comparison. So, this seemingly straightforward question is a very nuanced answer because, hold on, let me look at the provincial thing real quick and then I'll like try to answer that. Well, I guess he kind of does call you provincial. He calls you like a bumpkin, kind of, in Japanese. He says like Inaka Mono, which like Inaka is like the countryside and Mono is like a person. So it's like you country bumpkin. So provincial, I think provincial is probably like a better localization than like the Japanese gives because like Inaka Mono is, I don't know, it's just like very straightforward. Like it doesn't have that kind of verbose character quality that comes out in this set of dialogue, but keeping that in mind, the role of Celavis is to be a kind of pompous advisor to Ranni. So this is probably something where I'd say the English probably does a little bit of a better job getting that across than the Japanese, which is, you know, really rare for me to say something like that. But to to go back to that question, let me look at it again. Do they ever add things in to give the word a different flavor than the Japanese? So this could be an example of giving the word a bit of a different flavor because it's a little bit dressed up in English that just kind of better suits Celivis's personality. However, when I said it gets a bit more nuanced than that, it's because there's going to be times where you can't deliver things in a one-to-one way between Japanese and English to kind of keep the same context or like connotations to go along with that. So sometimes it's more prudent to take away from one area and make up for it in another. So one kind of easy example of that would be like stuff with like pronoun usage. So like, I don't know how familiar you guys are in chat are with like pronouns in Japanese specifically, but like one can refer to themselves like so many different ways. Like you have watashi, which is kind of like a gender neutral way of saying I or me. Then you have atashi, which is like the feminine way of saying watashi. Then you have boku, which is a way that both boys and women can like refer to themselves, but it's typically more masculine. And blah, blah, blah. Then you have ore, which is like a much more masculine way to refer to yourself. So it's kind of like a quote-unquote manly way to refer to yourself. And then you have a bunch of other pronouns, which I'm not going to like go into like a full list. Clyde Mandolin in his Legends of Localization has a fantastic page where he like goes about that. Let me say that a bit more slowly. Like Legends of Localization, like look up pronouns on there. And going back to like ore, you could have ore plus sama, which like sama is like something you'd add to like mean like my lord or something like. So if you say like ore sama, that's like my lordship, which just doesn't come across super well in English. So the kind of equivalent way you could represent like somebody referring to themselves as ore sama would be like somebody referring to themselves in the third person. So I think like in Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta says Ore-sama quite a lot. So it'd be like if he always said like Prince Vegeta in reference to himself to just kind of like get that across. Another one would be Morgana in Persona 5. In Japanese, they say Wagahai. And the reason for that is the book titled I Am a Cat, the I in I Am a Cat is Wagahai. So like cats are typically seen to refer to themselves as Wagahai. So you can't really get that across by just saying I in English. So you have to find other ways to like make that come through. And sometimes the best way to do that is by putting a little bit of extra emphasis in other places. So sorry for that little bit of a monologue, but that's kind of an interesting question to me, and I like to give a little bit of context where I can. Am I planning on taking half the Healing Tree Medallion? I'll probably do both, or I might just do the skip. It doesn't really matter. People give Marika too much leeway and give Gwyn none, despite their actions being the same, preserving their rule against the non-chill order. I mean, there's a bunch of like supporters and detractors, I think, for both games. But at least with like Marika, it seems like the way she prolonged the world seems kind of more along with the order of it to begin with, like the way with the Elden Ring works, as opposed to like artificially linking the flame. So I think effectively their actions are similar, but I think they had like a bit of a different situation leading into that though. Do I know what pronoun Millennia uses for Mikola in the Japanese? So she says like what, I awaited your return? I don't think she refers to him directly there. Oh, as I awaited his return. Let me look. No, in this she doesn't use any pronouns. She just said like, I simply await one, which doesn't really make for a compelling like translation in terms of like keeping that in the English. So you could like it could be understood as like I waited the return of the one, or I waited the one's return, I guess. But yeah, I mean, some of it is just like the language is a bit poetic, so you're going to have to kind of add things that aren't like technically in the original just to make it more palatable. And not even like a localization has that issue. Like this is just like straight translation issues. Do I plan on covering games like Hellpoint or Shattered Tale of the Forgotten King? No, I don't have any plans for those, at least right now. I was thinking of potentially covering Final Fantasy 16 a little bit, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, there's still quite a lot I want to do, and it just takes a lot of time to produce content, unfortunately. Which is why there's no short today. Alright, so moving on.
Allow me to forewarn thee. I shall soon enter my slumber, and it will be some time before I wake. This doll's body is not without its hindrances. Still, I have high hopes for thee. I look forward to the good news when I arise.
So she goes to sleep
I
now.
shall soon enter, and it will be. I have high look.
Alright. So this doesn't exactly work out, I don't think, but one idea that I liked is that Ranni might have to go to sleep during the day because of like her ties to the Dark Moon or anything like that. But I mean, you can do this sequence of events at any time of day or night and she'll still go to sleep. But just typically, like when we meet her, like the first time we meet her and teleport directly to like the Church of Ella, like it does turn into night. So that does kind of like lead into me thinking that's a possibility, but that's kind of all it is, like a possibility. I should probably bring that down now that I think about it. Just a bit of a habit. I mean, I meant to do that, so this way we could go this way to see Celevis. I'm not going to worry about the dragon, because I don't need to fight it. So we're just going to go see Celevis and Oropedia. Pidgeot. 16 looks like a fantastic return to form. I don't know, like, I'm a bit negatively skeptical, cynical maybe. I'm not a big fan of like the whole Devil May Cry kind of combat. Like parts of the trailers that I've seen have looked absolutely phenomenal, but then like half the time whenever they're like moving around or like in combat, it's just like a shower of particle effects to the point where I feel like I can't see anything. It just looks like a mess. And I mean, 15 was kind of bad, to be honest. Like Final Fantasy VII Remake was passable, but I don't think that was great either. So I'm very skeptical going into 16, and if I wasn't a content creator, I'd probably like wait to buy it. I mean, I still might do that, but I don't know. It might be better to just jump on that because I am kind of a big Final Fantasy fanboy. But I digress.
Well, you took me at my word. Did you not realize I was merely being polite? Oh, you provincials never cease to amaze. I suppose you're here now. Perhaps I'll give you something to do. I'd like you to find a woman called Nefeli to administer a potion. Even you can do that much, can't you? I see. What a wretched bunch you tarnished are. Do you understand? I've given you a very fine chance. If you complete this simple task, I will graciously permit you to learn from me. Even you wish to serve Our Lady well, do you not? Turn those little cogs upstairs and return with the correct answer.
So yeah, like just his absolute delivery of these lines is impeccable.
Have you fumbled out the correct answer now? Then you will undertake my task.
ever think about doing Final Fantasy lore vids, you think 8 has very underrated lore with a strong Godhern lore and the legacy of the witches. So I did a little bit in terms of like the one video that I made which completely flopped where I compared Bloodborne to Final Fantasy 7. But I feel like there's a lot of just straight up Final Fantasy lore channels or just like content creation channels where I didn't really feel the need to tackle it the same way I kind of felt the need to tackle like Bloodborne. And since like doing like the Bloodborne and looking at the Japanese of things, it just kind of transitioned into me looking at FromSoft's other games and just like the balance of needing to fully dive into multiple versions of the games to like look at the differences and then like piece them together. It's just taken an extremely long time to do that before I could like look at other stuff. And I'm kind of only like now at the point at Elden Ring where I feel comfortable enough where I could just like do this kind of thing on the fly, or rather like move past Elden Ring. Like I don't think we're gonna get much more content out of it until like we get DLC. So like I could have obviously produced like more like basic videos, but I guess that's just kind of like not my style. I think it's partially because I hate like doing voiceover work because I'm bad at it and I take a lot of takes to get it to where I want it for one reason or another. So thanks for the question. No outside information to go on with 8 lore, even in Ultimanias. And yeah, that's like the other thing, like at least with the Final Fantasy games, they do have like Ultimania Omega guides and stuff to round out a lot of the community knowledge compared to like FromSoft stuff.
Good, good. Now I shall hand over the potion in question.
Wait, I should have denied again because I think he says something even more spiteful.
Have you fumbled out the correct answer now? Then you will undertake my task. You are peerless in your dullitry. Fine. I can feel my wits evaporating in your mere presence. Don't bother wasting your breath on me again.
Just him sounding so tired as opposed to just like him very clearly trying to spell out the dots a second ago in exasperation. Just so well done by this guy. Kudos to him.
I could have sworn I told you to trouble me no more. Are you here to tender your sincere apology and undertake my task? Good, good. As a man of abundant charity, I accept your apology. Now I shall hand over the potion in question.
Sullivan's draft.
Find Nefeli and ensure she drinks it. I expect glad tidings, and soon. I've no time for idle chit-chat. The only thing I will hear from you is a report of your task's completion. Are we understood? Then off you trot. I have enough on my plate.
Alright, let's check out the draft. Medicinal liquor received from Celibus. He requested that it be given to Nefeli to drink. Very straightforward stuff. So that's it with Celibus for now. I'm debating whether or not I do want to give the potion to Nefeli since we can't complete her quest, or just to give it to like Dung Eater or something instead. It might be worth keeping Dung Eater alive to just get his mending rune, but I don't know. Nah, there's also a good lore on his puppet now that I think about it. So I might just give him the potion. What does chat think? Caria Manor. So we have a bunch of like the Cuckoo Knights, and these are probably like parts of the spirits that ambush us down there, like when we first come into the area. I've tried putting on like the Briar armor set and rolling into Pedia. At least in like the retail version of the game, it doesn't do anything to him. So many people like to speculate that Celibus could be Pedia, because when Ranni punishes Celavis and Celavis quote unquote dies, that's when all of the puppets get up and attack Pedia, who then dies shortly after. So it could just be Ranni reversing the effects of Pedia controlling puppets, which gets Celavis killed essentially. But there's certainly enough room to suggest that Celavis and Pedia could be different people. I haven't looked at their voice actor list to confirm if they have the same voice actor. If they do have the same voice actor, I could see that Celavis is Pedia. But even then, they could still be different people for all we know. Do puppet dung eater? Dung water?
Oh, you? Sorry, Your Worship. I apologize for any offense given. I am Pidia, servant to the Carian royal family. I am charged with maintaining these ghastly dolls.
So if he's in charge of maintaining the ghastly dolls, that could be a reference to the way Celavis uses puppets. I mean, the guy sounds almost exactly like Celavis if Celavis was trying to, like, not tip off the Tarnish that he's actually a weak body. But I digress.
Your Worship, allow me to be of use. Other than the puppets, there are some very fine things up here in this storeroom. Why not pick something out before you go? But please, can you offer poor ill-starred Pidia a little something by way of compensation?
And I guess I should point out that he's also an Albinauric, not that I really think it matters too much. So from him, you can buy an unlimited amount of golem magic arrows in this version of the game, unlimited beast bloods, old things, moon eggs, rhymed crystal buds, ceremonial pot is one, and another glintstone craftsman's cookbook. I should probably... So fireworks, that's annoying. 1 second here. Alright, close the window. I don't know how well that's going to drown out the sound. Yeah, I was going to say I should probably buy a couple of boluses just for like the Lake of Rot, because I'm not going to be using Faith to like overcome that. May as well just buy all of them. So Old Fang, I haven't read this yet, or these really. This is a rarely seen specimen of Beast Fang. These multiple overlapping fangs grow from a single root. In times long past, life was a crucible of competition. This fang harkens back to those days, grounded to powder for use as a medicine. So this kind of gives people more footing to believe like the crucible of life could have just been like the primordial soup melting pot, as opposed to a specific form of the Erd Tree, which is, you know, I don't really begrudge them for thinking that, just because I think that's the most natural conclusion to come to until you like look at things much more deeply. So, moon egg, owl eggs that will never hatch, prized as a symbol of the most sublime slumber. Sublime slumber, sublime slumber. That's almost like a tongue twister. Alright. Oh, we have the rhymed one. I haven't seen one of these. Parasitic plant that uses wounded trees as seed beds, commonly found throughout the lands between. Okay, it doesn't really mention anything else than the others. Thank you for not being prejudiced against Albinorcs. You'd love to see From make another Souls game where an NPC you help doesn't appear in subsequent playthrough with the same character? Alright, so preserving boluses are boluses made of a compound of various vermilion materials. Vermilion's misspelled, or maybe that's a different way of spelling it. I would imagine it would have 2 L's and whatever. Boluses made of a compound of various pale purple materials, craftable, relieves impending somnolence. somnolence. Somnolence builds up slowly, causing sudden fogginess and loss of FP once the threshold is reached. Take one of these in timely fashion to avoid such events. It's kind of interesting that this has like more of the like command text than these ones. Empty pot engulfed in magical energy can be used as a material in even stronger throwing pots. I don't think I have any of these. I have one. Right, then we can leave that one there. Nothing there. Sorcerer Hunt. Is Caria in Retaliation. That's actually a really good Ash of War for like PvP and stuff. But we'll leave it alone. Alright, so that's it with Pedia and Celavis. We could go back and talk to Iji, so we should see what he has to say. I don't think it's much. So the next place to go would be underground to find Blythe. And that kind of thing.
Greetings, my fellow. How can I help?
So Vermilion really only has one L? What the hell? It is one L. Damn. I was wrong. Thanks for correcting me. So we can ask him about Nokron and about Blythe.
Blythe is Lady Ranni's stepbrother. Ranni's mother, Queen Renala, approved of him, and they played like siblings from childhood. They were always happy to have me tag along as well. When Lady Ranni renounced her flesh and chose the dark path of the Empyrean, Blythe and I swore allegiance as vassals. But none of us will ever forget our earliest days together. Promise to look after Blythe for me, will you? The man is honest to a fault. But fortunately, now he has you.
Alright, so that's always some important dialogue from Iji there that sets Blythe up as the quote-unquote half-brother for Lady Ranni, in that he's her little stepbrother, so they're not related by blood. He was given to her by the Two Fingers when she became an Empyrean, kind of. So that stuff is important for just kind of contextualizing their relationship. But there's still like a lot of questions about that. I wonder if the reason why Ranni has Blythe specifically is because she was chosen to be an Empyrean by the Two Fingers. And if Miquella and Millennia don't have a Shadowhound beast because they were kind of born as Empyreans. But we don't really know for sure. Maybe we'll find a Shadowhound beast for one of the two of them, or both of them, in the DLC.
I take it you've heard of the eternal city of Noxtella? Well, it has a twin, known as Nokron, the other eternal city. After years of expeditions, we've determined the location of Nokron by going underground through the well in the Mistwood of Limgrave. You can see Nokron up above, only we've failed to find a path leading to the city. Blythe's made a good go of it, but I'm afraid this has him quite stumped. To be honest, I'm not sure where to go from here.
Alright, so with this, we're going to go see Blythe first, and then talk to Jerren. So, because we have not gone to Altus Plateau yet... Wait, Divine Brit... Shit. Does this count? Well, rather than going seeing Blythe now, we're going to go to Castle of Redmane real quick. Hopefully I didn't screw it up by going to the Divine Bridge up there. Because I know as soon as you go to Altus Plateau, that can initiate the Radahn Festival. But I don't know if it's Altus Plateau through Volcano Manor or what's it called? The lift. So I'm just gonna like zip on into Castle Redmane through Fort Gale, Slave Knight Gale. Believe that? I normally self-bleep, but that one just I didn't even self-censor. I was like, wait a minute, there's this yellow thing where there shouldn't be one for my needs. Cause it'll be a sad day if I can't show you guys like the rarer Jerren / EG dialogue. Like the playthrough will still be fine and everything. Don't know if I can make this jump. Okay, I can. I should probably like go unlock the Side of Grace. Okay, I think we're good. I think I didn't go far enough. Or too far, rather. Gonna wait for it to come back. If it ever comes back. It's too slow. Fudge. I screwed up. Alright, well, I know it goes on this path exactly, so I'll just wait until I see the things again. Being chosen or being born in Empyrean might not be different. They're nebulous and a little contradictory about it, right? Ah, fudge. It'll come back. Loops around. Red Lion's Flame. So this one's a very strong Ash of War that we're not going to use. I should also get the Regalia Arcade sometime. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's not here in 1.0 now that I think about it. Yeah, rather than going through like the full prison, I think I'll just look from the Limgrave site, because I'm pretty sure you could just like look and see that it's not there. Do I notice any red flags with Ranni? In general? She killed her brother. That's a pretty big red flag, isn't it? There's also being a doll. So we got the Redmane Knight. I'm surprised that wasn't a backstab. There we go. So this is the cool Star Scourge heirloom. Gives us strength. A talisman engraved with a scene from a heroic tale raises strength. The mightiest hero of the demigods confronted the falling star alone and triumphed, sealing the fate of the stars forevermore. So the 1.0 description is a little bit more bare bones and makes the idea that like the falling star could be a reference to a falling star beast or an Estelle a little bit more likely than the retail version. Because like the Japanese says something different, like probably like falling, or sorry, the English in the retail says something different, like the falling stars, which kind of disambiguates it a bit more. But the Japanese is ambiguous enough to potentially allow for that reading, although it's a little bit of a stretch, to be fair. Maybe I'll do just that, El Gusto. How is Godwin her brother? They're half-brothers. Or, well, half-siblings. I screwed up. So if these dudes are all here, though, I think we're in the clear. Zoink Scoob. Alright, so yeah, these are both turned off. Yeah, as long as Redmane is fortified, we should be fine to go see Jerren and get the special dialogue, essentially. The first time I came through Redmane Castle, I'd already gone to Altus Plateau through the Precipice of Anticipation. I thought I was going to fall to my death right there. Why didn't I fast travel? The funny thing is, like, I thought to myself to just fast travel past this before coming across the bridge, but I didn't do it anyway. I think maybe because I figured, like, the load screen would take longer than actually traversing it. Holy crap. Thanks for the rooms. Random troll. So yeah, when I first came through, there were absolutely no enemies, and I was super confused. I'll come back there at some point, maybe. The big, like, siege ballistae outside of Redmane Castle can have, like, the Banished Knight weapons show up in it, which kind of just goes to show that they're probably, like, placeholder weapons. But if they're not, it's kind of weird, and could potentially show that like these kind of fortresses are older than they let on, which I've talked about briefly before. But yeah, there's a dude over here. Forget. Flaming Strike. How's Godwin her brother? You think you're getting confused by the combining aspect and forgetting him being a consort? Yeah, all of the demigod children are technically related. Alright. I forget if there's like any treasure that's worth getting here when all the doors are open and stuff. So I might have some trouble with the Leonine Misbegotten and the Crucible Knight boss fight. Because Crucible Knights don't bleed and all that. And I don't remember how tough they actually are. I'm in combat? Oh, did not remember a pumpkin knight being up here. I guess he's not a knight, a pumpkin guy being up here. That explains the weird noise I heard. That one faded to mist. Did they all fade to mist? Or like the ones in the overworld don't? I don't remember. Golden smithing stone. We've already gotten one of those. An arranged marriage. Kind of lucky that didn't hurt me, to be honest. That's not good. Okay, you unmanned it. What a maroon. Good job defending the fort, dinguses. Alright, I should probably level up. So, we need one more faith. We might get that after this boss fight. Okay. Leonine Aberration. And those things cover a lot of ground. Alright, now we just have the Crucible Knights. I don't know how well that would do. But I also didn't have like enough mana. Too slow on that one. I should have jumped for that attack anyway. So he's two-handing. That means he's gonna do the combo with some distance. Alright, so I'm gonna try to heal up and summon the skeleton the next time I can. I thought he was stomping. That probably looked really silly. Skelebros? So you can tail whip after he gets his wings, which is really annoying. Oh, I tried rolling. I think I sprinted that one, so I held the button down too long. I forgot my own advice. I want to get out of that because that's just a camera nightmare. Frost Stomp versus Earth Stomp. Yeah, these guys don't bleed, so his Earth Stomp is a little bit more effective. Ooh, I got really lucky with that hitbox. Not so lucky with that one. We've got a little bit of juice left. Could get around this damn thing. I rolled too soon. I'm surprised the skeletons have stayed up as long as they have. Pleasantly surprised. Finally. Oh, I thought that was gonna do a little bit more damage. Let's heal to be on the safer side as I make the worst heal imaginable and do it again. Fudge. Oh, that was risky. Fudge, I done goofed. I thought I had it. Maybe I should, I could probably switch weapons after dealing with the Leonine Misbegotten. Why no Magma Stomp? It would look awesome, you know, for the DLC. How long after Ranni becoming a great one before she starts desiring having children? I feel like she'd be anti-children based on, like, the relationship with her father. There is a kind of wind stomp with the Banished Knights and stuff. Yeah, so the Crucible Knight gets triggered on the Leonine boy getting to half of his health. So it's important to burn it down as quickly as possible. Let me get my runes. I tried jumping. Oh, it got queued. That sucks. Oh yeah, I need to switch weapons. That's what I was going to do between the phases. I got lucky there. And I was trying to get some distance, and then I got stuck on the thing. I'm out of mana. That makes sense. Okay. Mana being FP, obviously. Why didn't I roll? I rolled too soon. There we go. Yeah, this does a little bit better posture damage, although I did get quite a lot of hits in a row. Gonna jump up. Try not to get tail whipped to death again. Damn it, that was unfortunate. Oh, that was so lucky. Damn it, that was not lucky. You win some, you lose some. For some reason, just the timing on that jumping attack made it sound like I killed it, and I was super confused because I knew it had like so much health left. Should probably like parry these dudes, but I haven't. Oh no, that's unfortunate. Oh fuck. Oops. Didn't mean to swear. That's the one attack that I feel is a bit unfair for him. But I should know better in phase 2, I guess. Because my first time I fought the Crucible Knight, it was the one in the Everjail in Limgrave. I think I was like literally level 13. So I spent like literal hours. Oh, that was silly of me. Just whittling him away. Just unfair in this phase. So he's gonna do the big sweeping attack. Because I can only ever get in like one hit on this dude unless like my minions are taking aggro. Which is so annoying about like a lot of the Elden Ring fights to me. I rolled that. That was garbage. Now I'm like hyper vigilant. Stressful. I didn't see that one coming. As I said, you know, hyper vigilant. It's because I can't tell if he's going to transition into the straight up tail swipe. Like, I can't just make those committed attacks to do a little bit of damage. I guess I could just focus on range. Yeah, what am I doing? I do have a staff. Hey Stella, welcome back to the stream. Ready to get my mind blown? Ranni is actually Fia's child and her real name is Flora. Oof. Getting some real madman's knowledge right there. Yeah, okay. I should try parrying, maybe. I've never actually really tried to parry the Leonine. Not Leonine, but the Crucible Knights. Wow. That did a lot of damage too. Oh my gosh. So which one should I even like parry? See, these guys seem big enough that they shouldn't be parryable, which is kind of one of the weirder things. Definitely not that one. There we go. That was the one that I wanted to parry, if I could. Run away. I rolled. The delay. Did I pick up my runes? We'll find out. No, I did not. Oh, okay, I did. A lottie coming. I did it too soon. I did it too late. I thought I did that at the right time, but apparently I did not. To be fair, I'm pretty low level for this. It's a big little bit of thunder there. Alright. Nah, I'm too unfamiliar with this to, I think, make that viable for my strat. I'm just going to introduce an element of me sucking. I waited too long. Let's try something a little bit different. I don't think this will do a lot of damage. I'm just a little bit curious. I can kite him around into it. If this will hurt me too, won't it? Well, it will when I do it like that. Yeah, it didn't seem worth it. Damn cabbages. Uh-oh. Oh, that's the dual-handed strike move. I should have seen that one coming. Okay. So I've got no minions this time around. Oh, luckily that didn't do a lot of damage to me. So I think if I hit him, I can bait out the shield bash and punish that. Oh, well, that time I rolled too soon. I was just trying to get the posture break, and my posture got broken instead. Alright, I deserve that. Okay. I will play better. Ludi, welcome in. Try to parry. No, it's not your fault. Just do that 80 more times, pretty much. One hit at a time. Play better. Oops. That's not how you play better. Oh. I definitely rolled late on that one. That was me. Okay, that does a decent amount of damage, actually. I should have just been spamming that. Hoping that charged R2s would hit. Oh, that sucks. If I'd known he was that close, I would have been spamming it a bit more. Wait, I can freeze him. I forgot about that. So I could have been dealing more damage. Damn it. Backing, please. So I can use Night Shard once. Good to know. Oh, that's probably why the one hit didn't do much damage to me the one time. I'd probably flasked up. I'm not gonna risk it, just gonna heal up. Alright, so I think if I'm like right on him and counter like immediately, I can get the one hit off before he tails. Oh, that sucked. Okay. I was gonna heal, but I thought he'd be able to punish me. I'm trying to heal. Do Horfrost Stomp with both feet. Dual wield defeat. Oh, he should have done a lot more attacks with the dual hand, I thought. Not this time. I'm just gonna heal up because I'm afraid a second, like, super big tail swipe would kill me at that HP. Even though I feel like it's a little bit of a wasted flask opportunity right then. Alright, last heal. There we go. Jeez. Ruin's Greatsword. This dude's probably legitimately more difficult for me than Radahn with the Hoarfrost Stomp. Or Step. Thanks for the GGs, Wesley Sosa. Nice to see you. Any relation to Davin Sosa? If not, no big deal. I'd kind of be surprised if you were, honestly. Portables, thank you. Welcome in. Alright, so we got the Ruin's Greatsword, which is originally rubble from a ruin which fell from the sky. This surviving fragment was honed into a weapon. The ruin it came from crumbled when struck by a meteorite. As such, this weapon harbors its destructive power. And then we have a Gravitas Blade, which is gravity style. So the Ruin's Greatsword is one of those weapons where I think like the greater community takes it one way, but it doesn't actually say it to be one way or another. So to give like an actual concrete example of what I'm saying, one question that this weapon brings up is, was Fair Missoula already in the sky when it was hit by a meteor, or did Fair Missoula get hit by a meteor and was then sent into the sky? With the existence of the storm that exists beyond time and the age of like the true storm that raged over Stormvale, it's a little bit ambiguous as to whether Fair Missoula was always in the sky. It can be taken multiple ways because when we look at the map of Caelid, we do have the Farum Great Bridge, so this Farum and Fair Missoula is probably related, but if Fair Missoula was in Caelid or whatever, it doesn't really make much sense for there to be debris of Fair Missoula all over like Limgrave, like these things, literally on the map, as well as like Weeping Peninsula all the way down here and stuff. One other thing about like the Fair Missoula wreckage, there's some like in Liurnia, like down over here too. This wreckage also appears on top of the highway, the ancient highway. So we do know at the very least that Farum Azula was in the sky after the highways were built, and the highways do have the kind of same Elden Ring 4 type pattern on them there as the Farum Azula Elden Ring with like the Lady and the Three Wolves. Yeah, and as Puzzleheaded points out, the Death Root suggests that it was connected at one point, and there can be arguments made that the Death Root in Fair Missoula could be there because of Malekith, which I think is interesting, but for sake of the argument, let's say that the Fair Missoula Death Root isn't from Malekith. It would also suggest that Fair Missoula was part of the Lands Between, or at least down in the Lands Between, even after the Shattering, because the Death Root only spread pretty much after the Shattering. And Puzzleheaded says they're pretty sure Fair Missoula was on the mountaintops of the Giants, which might have also been the Great Tree too. So I don't know if it's in the mountaintops specifically. I mean, you could probably make that argument, especially with like the way the kiln teleports us to the place, but you could also make the argument that it should be in Caelid. And with that being said, Caelid could have been connected to the mountaintops of the Giants because there's also like gigantic petrified giants in the cliffs of Caelid pretty much everywhere. So we get a bunch of extra chairs and another like moon dial, which is like astrologer based or Carian family based. And then as we come into this like little church area, when we take a closer look at it, we can see that this is identical to the one, well, not like identical. Actually, it might be. To the one in Castle Stormvale and the one in Castle Sol. So it's possible that all three of these locations were more closely related at some point. The most likely like connective point to that would be like the Banished Knights and or the Stormlord, I think. Because we do have like Banished Knight weapons here and like the Marred Leather shields and all that stuff. So like, yeah, these are Banished Knight weapons. But there's also the possibility that these are just kind of like placeholder items and we might be reading too much into them. So aside from that, we do have like the little quatrefoil on top of this, although these are kind of repeated textures from like the times of Bloodborne. They show up in Dark Souls 3 and like Lothar Castle as well. We got the lady with the urn in both of these locations, and she's like fully kitted out, like her head hasn't been broken off or anything like that. You're not sure that stands. Malekith's also in the Bestial Sanctum, but there is no death root there. So the Malekith stuff is weird because you can kill him in Fair Missoula and he'll still be in the Bestial Sanctum and vice versa. So it's questionable like whether that's really him or if it's like a projection, maybe. I don't necessarily believe that, but I could, see some people like arguing for that point specifically. All right, so now that we've officially entered the crew of Ranni, we can talk to Jerren, and he has a little bit of extra dialogue with E.G., if I'm not mistaken here.
Oh, tarnished are you? How did you slip inside with the gate closed? No matter. If you can fell one of them, you're a champion in my book. I am Jerren, foolish old warrior and witness. Incidentally, do you like a good festival from time to time? Well, it's true. This fortress houses only the vanquished. But when the stars align, we celebrate. A war festival honoring the last battle and death of General Radahn, the mightiest demigod of the Shattering and bearer of a great rune.
It doesn't really matter what you say. Actually, I think it does for him. I don't think he like really broaches it again, but it doesn't really matter, I'm pretty sure.
Well, you're not much fun, are you, chum? No matter. One day you will see that true warriors bask in glory at the festival.
So now we can bring up E.G. Let's see if he brings up the festival stuff again now.
One day you will see
Okay, that's what I thought.
that true warriors bask in glory at the festival.
Alright, so now we can bring up the E.G. thing.
Well, I haven't heard that name in an age. Then you must serve Princess Ranni. The next time you speak to E.G., tell him this. The Festival of Radahn will surely set Ranni's fate back into motion. By the by, is that old fool still hammering out weapons? His enormous frame cramped in that little place? Bit of a haughty sort. Strange fella when I knew him. And funny thing, his swords were all blunt as stone, but not one of them decayed when faced with the scarlet rot.
So translators know, I know some people have like been like, wait, cramped in that little place, what does that mean? The Japanese for it is more like all hunched over like that, like hunched over and small. So he's not like cramped in a specific spot, it's just like the way he works on his anvil is cramped. I don't remember if there's anything different about the weapons being blunt as stone, but for what it's worth, Jerren does use the flamberge, which is a kind of wavy looking sword type thing, and curved weapons are, well, undulating weapons are notoriously difficult to keep sharpened in real life, so that might just be like an actual real life reason for it. But his flamberge is kind of representative of flame. That's kind of a very stereotypical trope of FromSoft games, like the Snakemen in Dark Souls 1 had flamberges, and they're associated with the fire explicitly in that. Same thing in like Dark Souls 3, except not the snake people using them. So if his weapon represents flame, flame might have the ability to keep Scarlet Rot at bay. So him saying that E.G.'s weapons kept the Scarlet Rot at bay could just be because he used the flamberge. But if he's talking about like more of the soldiers' weapons, that's still kind of interesting, and we don't know exactly why E.G.'s weapons in particular were effective against Scarlet Rot. Some have wondered whether or not E.G.'s weapons used silver, but I haven't been able to find any evidence corroborating that. And when we look at the flamberge and other weapons, they don't say that they're made of silver, so it's kind of hard to state that would be the case.
Go on now. This old geezer hasn't any use for you just yet.
Alright, so now we can go talk to E.G. Who's this? Oh yeah, I don't have the torch on. Oh wait, but I have Starlight. Well, that just helped. Yeah, so this symbol appears a couple other places. I don't know if it's a specific one exactly. Actually, it kind of reminds me of the Lothric symbol, but I don't know. Alright, so that's all we can do here for now. Just wanted to get that dialogue so we could hear Iji call himself an idiot. Here we go. Iji. This version doesn't say it puzzle-headed. I'll need to double check like the retail version. But as you said, the death root says that it came through the underground roots of the tree. It's possible like it did first infiltrate Fair Missoula when it was on the ground, but yeah, I agree that it wouldn't make much sense for it to appear elsewhere. But to be fair, there might be like a metaphysical connection between like the Deathroot and the Erd Tree saplings, because there's a Golden Tree sapling up in Fair Missoula as well. But generally, I do think it was more likely that Fair Missoula was on the ground later in the timeline than many people suspect. Have I read the Ancient Dragon Prayer Book? It has the oldest incantations of the Dragon Cult, and it claims it never reached the lands between. Does that imply Godwin started the cult there? So there's a little bit of a discrepancy in the Japanese for that. I don't remember if I actually have it listed in my Discord or not. Oh shit. That's what I get for like trying to put the controller down. All right, now I don't have it listed on my server. I should probably put that on there, like make a short about it. Because I know I've talked to Sinister Stromboli about that in one of his streams. Let me look at it real quick. Because it's more like that it was never told, rather than like it never reached the lands between. So let me double check that. So yeah, it just says that it's a lost book that's not communicated or like passed down in the lands between, but that doesn't mean like it never actually reached it. So wait, what did I just say? That it's never been passed down? It's more like a lost book that is not passed down, like present tense. Not that it's like has never been passed down. So while the Japanese doesn't discount that interpretation that it like never came into the lands between, there is a little bit more ambiguity for it that the English just kind of overrules. Whatever. Alright. So, Iji's dialogue.
Well, my fellow, how may I serve you? As war counselor? Or as blacksmith? Jerren. Now that's a name I haven't heard for a while. Before taking up the banner of General Radahn, he was a guest of the Carian royal family. An expert swordsman, to be sure. But ever eccentric. No surprise he'd get wrapped up in some festival. Oh no. Wait, how did I not see it before? I ought to retire as war counselor for such a gross oversight. Let me explain. The fate of the Carian royal family is guided by the stars, as is the fate of Lady Ranni, first heir in the Carian royal line. But General Radahn is the conqueror of the stars, who stood up to the swirling constellations, halting their movement in a smashing victory. And so, if General Radahn were defeated, the stars would once again resume their movement, as would Lady Ranni's destiny, perhaps even revealing the elusive path that leads to Nokron.
Damn it, I muted myself to drink some water and did not unmute myself. My fault, everybody. So, damn, I talked after the EG stuff too. What did he say? The Jerren stuff. Whatever. Anyway, when we first come down here, I said I was going to leave EG's text where it was because I think we might like kick off the Radahn festival if we do his one line of dialogue. So I wanted to come down here to go see Blythe. So these steles, long story short, I just like pointed out what was on them. I think it's possible on the tall one, like on the second row, it could show like some people tending to a tree, but it's kind of hard to make out. And like really this kind of stuff is like, it's best to have the camera mod. And one of the funny thing about these steles is that like some of these are like higher resolution, the textures, and others are just like always low res for whatever reason. So I think like that top row right there can potentially show like people tending a tree, like a very small one. So I don't know if any of these are actually lore relevant because you can find some of these types of textures from like third-party sellers online. So just kind of always treat like these visual things, like the very tiny ones, like with a pretty hefty grain of salt is what I was trying to say in my muted state. Thanks for letting me know, everyone. Oh, yeah, let's pick up plenty of Dukist Herba. Now I'll actually be able to craft some things to be able to see in the darkness. Alright. So the Dukist Herba's description is also a little bit different. Also not next to regular herba, I guess. A white leaf that only grows in the dark underground, void of sunlight. It is perpetually covered in droplets resembling morning dew. It glows faintly, like stars at night. So I like that description, it's pretty good. It doesn't mention anything about, oh, you know, that's just the Japanese name, never mind. I'm thinking of the Celestial Dew. Okay. So let's go ahead and craft some of our favorite glowstones. Polished stone ruined fragment that shines brighter than a rainbow stone. Emits light from the location it is placed, illuminating surroundings. However, the effect is short-lived and lacks the diverse colors of rainbow stones. May serve some benefit in dark places or at night. So we're going to just go ahead and make as many as we can, pretty much. One of the things that fascinates me about, like, the glowstones and the sanctuary stones... Did I ever look at that? I don't think I did. Okay, a stone that originates from sloped ruins. Okay, so in the retail build, it's a little bit clearer that it comes from, like, Fair Missoula. It's... The thing that interests me is, like, Fair Missoula's stonework has the properties of being able to, like, absorb light and strengthen it, which is cool, I guess. I never gave this to Hayata. Okay. Gotta remember about that. Maybe. I don't know. I think I did. Whatever. I'm losing my mind. You like the term of white? It parallels the eclipse that mentions the sun drained of color. It makes sense that they're found underground at the top of the false sky and all. Yeah. And I wonder, like, how significant some of, like, these description changes are really meant to be. Let's keep picking up some of this herba. Melted mushroom, that'll help us make our beloved soap. Oh yeah, and as we come down into the underground, we're gonna run into a bunch of the claymen. We've talked about a little bit, but not quite in depth. Cured immunizing meat. Rainbow stone. Oh, wrong one. Gotta use my eyes. Well, that gave us nothing. That's cool, I guess. Fat lot of nothing that was. How can Elden Ring be real if our eyes aren't real? Exactly. Just ask Corin, right? Silver fireflies have something similar about the void of sunlight. Yeah. And that's something I talked about when we like first picked them up as well. Oh, I done did it now. I fixed it. So we got some of our clay boys over here. I think these guys are kind of similar to like the glintstone miners. But one thing that I really like about the clay guys is that they can summon like these bubbles. I almost called them oracle bubbles, but they're technically different. And when they die, they don't like fully disappear. They just kind of become puddles of mud, which is super cool. So, oh yeah. Let's go ahead and equip our handy dandy glowstone, wherever it is. There we go. So one thing about these dudes that I've wondered is if they're like kind of animated by the bubbles coming out of their backs and whatnot. You can kind of see them on the corpses super well. But also on one of my videos I have a close-up of them using their bubble attack, and you can kind of see it filled with either bubbles or what I think is more likely to be like representation of the cosmos and the stars, which I think is kind of analogous to the way that the cosmos work in Bloodborne and all that, with like going into the nightmare, Hunter's Nightmare. You can like see the ocean when you like defeat the orphan, and the orphan returns to the sea, accepting of all that there is and that can be. And it's kind of like a cosmic ocean, like the more you delve into that lore. So, sorry if you guys haven't played it. It's a little bit of a spoiler, I guess, but nothing too crazy. So, we get magic bubbles this time around. A lost ancient glintstone sorcery used by wretches who dwell in underground ruins. Produces several bubbles of magic that drift until they naturally pop. Charging up the sorcery makes the bubbles linger for a longer time. So the funny thing to me about this spell in particular, and like the bubble spells, is that if I remember correctly, they use the Nox or like Celian sigil with the throne in the background. But I don't actually remember off the top of my head for sure. I could look that up super quickly. Got a screenshot and everything. Finish Folk Rune. Let's wake everybody up. Get some more silver fireflies. Not really, just kind of... Oh, golden bolt. Sweet. Alright, so one difference in 1.0 of like these kind of underground ruins compared to the retail build is rather than being like kind of gray, or not gray, but green and like patinaed, these are going to be a bit more golden in their appearance. You think the wells are Nox based on the art on the elevators? Understandable. Yeah, I think like these aqueducts are definitely like Nox and stuff. And I think the wells are most likely the Nox design as well, just because like aqueducts and wells kind of go together. So let me come in here, pick this stuff up, and then I'll like look at the thing again. So I guess it doesn't really look that... So these ones are green? Okay, so it's a different section of the well that they're more golden in appearance. That's interesting. So disregard what I said a moment ago. I guess it's more like the ones by the Einsel River. I'm not going to mess with the small Regal Horn Ancestor, because he only gives the... what's it called? The little spirit ashes. Whereas the big boy gives like the big lore item, essentially. Just takes a little bit of time to do. Let's go see our good old buddy, old pal Blythe. Oh, yeah. So coming down into the underground, we get into a more like open type area. If we look up towards the sky, we've got like the false night sky kind of going on. We don't exactly know why, but if we do look at the ceiling, you can kind of make what looks out to be like a bunch of roots at the ceiling. So I think those are probably the roots of the Erd tree, and if there's like supposed to be a bunch of souls or whatnot coursing through the roots, I can imagine that the roots of the Erd tree might be kind of analogous to glintstone. And if glintstone produces a false night sky, I think that might be responsible for like what we're seeing here. Because we don't actually see a ton of glintstone down here in this spot specifically. But if you do go like up to Liurnia and check out like the Lake of Rot and like underneath Raya Lucaria, there's going to be a ton of glintstone like coming out of a big wood-like structure, which might have been like an ancient rate tree, potentially. But that's some hashtag deep lore, and you guys don't really need to believe that. Alright, once I get closer to Blythe, I'll check out the chat. We don't aggro everything on the way there. Alright, our boy's still here. It's brilliant. I'm gonna like jump up and wait for their aggro to die. Okay. You always find it strange that the Elden John statues are cut in half from the waist. Seems intentional. Imagine the leaden moon busted out from down here, maybe. The black moon. They still be looking. Okay. That's funny. I tried to like jump again, but I guess I fell too far to like move forward. Why worship the outer gods when you can just build your own? It's a good question. Speaking of building your own, I probably had enough runes to level up and just never did. Yeah, I don't like dealing with those archers. They're a pain. Maybe I should just like look for treasure up there too while I'm up there. I think there's like one thing, but I'm pretty sure it was all kind of negligible. Yeah. Enough to level. I did not try to do it that way, but I screwed up. Can't dismount. Ooh. Wait. I guess I'm in the wrong spot for it. Oh wait, no, I'm in the right spot. Okay. dwelling arrow. So that one's slightly different. Was not really actually trying to land up here. So this is a cursed arrow used by horn worshippers. Cursed arrow which hunts down targets. It is said that spirits dwell within budding horns. This is a little bit more info than what's in like the retail, but I mean, they're really not that different. The biggest difference is just like these are called cursed, and they might not actually be meant to be cursed, so. Yep. Lifetime.
Ah. Good to see you. Apologies, mate. But I don't have much to report. I can see bloody Nokron right above me. But I'm absolutely stumped. I've tried all the gateways, to no avail. Perhaps it's time to ask Celevis. I recall that spiteful little rat acting like he knew something. Let's give him a squeeze. Show him just how sharp my teeth are.
Okay, cool. So we could do both of those, E.G. and Celevis then.
I jest. I wouldn't go that far. Besides, I should check on some things here. Leave this place to me. You just do what you feel is right. If either of us learns anything, we tell the other. Right? Ah. Well met. What news?
Tell E.G.'s story, don't say anything. May as well. No, we'll do the Celevis stuff.
Leave this place to me.
Don't want to trigger that too quickly. Because Celevis essentially will give us the same info as Jerren. Well, Celen kind of does, not exactly Celevis. Oh yeah, so the other thing I wanted to mention about like this place in particular is that I think it's a good possibility that this place underground, like the Schiefer River or its environs, may have been connected to the mountaintops of the Giants, because we get the same kinds of trees up there that we can see in the mountaintops. There's also the frozen ball lightning of the mountaintops down here. And if, I guess I can't show off the map. If you look at the mountaintops, like, there's enough of a gap to make it seem like this place and or the place over by the Mogwin Dynasty could have been up there as well. And it might be possible that like this place, Liurnia, Caelid, and the mountaintops are all connected somewhat, like in a kind of pseudo-Pangea. It feels like some real Pepe Sylvia lore theorizing that like, oh, everything's literally connected, but I mean, it kind of literally is as well. Just a little bit funky. Smithing stone shard. Square off. Yeah, and the spirit animals too. They show up in both locations. That's another interesting connection. And there is also like the horned guys that show up in the mountaintop sometime. So we're going to leave that be for now. I'm not worried about the steles. So let's go get our golden seed. And I'm not sure if I want to fight the Dragonkin soldier now or not. Golden seed. Pretty sure this item didn't like really amount to anything. So let's get it anyway. Oh, it's the one-sword key. So it just doesn't really matter too much on like New Game Plus after you've already gotten like everything, essentially. So yeah, this stuff right here is definitely of Nox design. We've got like the little flowers and like the vines and stuff, which also appear in like the Wandering Mausoleums. Wait, did the music change slightly? No, okay. I think there's nothing else over there. Okay, that's what I thought. Well, let's get our other site found out, and then we can go like up the well if we really wanted to. But I don't really think we need to worry about it. Just trying to not get sniped, essentially. Yeah, the game's a lot easier when you don't try to engage like literally every enemy you see. It took me a decent amount of time to go through that passage, like my first time playing. Is there nothing here? Okay, there it is. I just remembered this campsite. Wait, I thought there was a side of grace down here. Maybe it's not here in this version? Wait, is what item there? The stone sword key? Yeah. It's just a bird. Yeah, there's no side of grace here. Quality of life adjustment, I guess. Yeah, this game incentivizes running past everything. How many of these do we have, actually? Just the one? Okay, I'm not going to use it then. And that's unfortunate that there's no side of grace here either. So this should take us to, like, the Great Jar area in Caelid, but technically you don't even need that stone sword key. You can parkour your way up there or down there. So, we're just going to save our tools, and we talked to Blythe. We'll do the Celivis thing next. I do wish there were more sites of grace in the Three Sisters. You swear you checked the buttresses for items and never found anything? Sometimes it'd be like that, yeah. Oh damn. Nightbot getting me. This is not the way to Celivis.
I've no time for idle chit-chat. The only thing I will hear from you is a report of your task's completion. Are we understood? Then off you trot. I have enough on my plate. Well, well. You're asking me about that, are you? The task was left to you and the mongrel, was it not? Not only are you incompetent, but shameless to boot. Well, there's no helping it. Now's as good a time as any. I'll let you in on it. There's a glintstone sorcerer by the name of Selin in Limgrave. She owes me for the help I gave her when she was expelled from the academy. I asked her to look into the matter some time ago. I'll write you a letter of introduction. Go ask her.
Celivis's introduction.
I've no time for that. The only thing I haven't.
So that's it with him for now. Let's check our item. Letter addressed to Selin from Celivis. The letter contains a request to share knowledge about Nokron with the Tarnished. Straightforward stuff. You can see like the Caria crest on this as well if you like zoom in and all that. So somebody had asked the other stream if there's like other planets in the Lands Between. You could potentially take like the figures on Celavis's hat to make that argument, but I guess like you could also argue there's just stars, or just maybe like a bunch of gas giants. I don't know. The other thing is this hat also has snakes on it if you zoom in up close. So that's kind of cool. I know Sinister Stromboli likes to think that there's a bigger connection between like the snakes and Carians. I don't necessarily believe that, but just showing off what I can. Credit goes to him for like first pointing this out to me. So that's the Celavis stuff. Let's go see our lady in the tomb. The underside of the hat details are so good. Malbet, welcome back to the stream. You think the three sisters are outer gods and the three moons represent their physical form? Interesting. Other planets in the Lands Between, you don't think that was said right? Very well. Teen Sith just figured the sisters were the three wizard towers on the plateau there, and you didn't give it any more thought when you first played? Okay, Scotty's the one who asked about that. Okay. Sorry for forgetting who asks what. I'm pretty bad at remembering like names and who says stuff like that, to be honest.
Young apprentice. First things first. You are a tadpole when it comes to magic. Infantile. Without the legs to walk.
Damn.
So, to become a sorcerer, first, you must face your ignorance. Now, shall we start learning?
So after you buy a couple, her dialogue changes, but I'm not going to use my runes on that quite yet.
Well, well. Celavis is not a name I ever wanted to hear again. But fine. If it will help you, my apprentice, I offer my knowledge. The stars alter the fate of the Carian royal family, and the fate of your mistress, Ranni. But long ago, General Radahn challenged the swirling constellations, and in a crushing victory arrested their cycles. Now he is the force that repulses the stars. If General Radahn were to die, the stars would resume their movement, and so too would Ranni's destiny.
So she pretty much says the same thing that Jerren and EG get at once EG's head gets screwed on, right? And that's all we need to know about that. So we'll go back to EG and he might have more to say about that. I don't really know. Since we've already talked to Jerren though, he might just be like, oh, do this thing, idiot. So let's go find out. Malbit says the third moon is mentioned within the Noxtella moon talisman as the black moon, which could also be connected to Godwin's resurrection as the eclipse. Renala and Ranni represent the other two moons. There's also the possibility that the black moon is the dark moon, but we don't know for sure. Yeah, it's EG time.
My fellow, as Walker.
About Nokron Part 2? Logic Boogaloo, maybe?
I take it you've heard of the Eternal City. Well, after years by going only lies made, to be honest.
Alright, so that's about it. So we can go to the festival grounds at Redmane Castle, because this is one way you can initiate that without having to go to Altus Plateau. So doing this now, we should be able to initiate that Radahn fight.
Go with Blythe to the festival grounds. Should General Radahn be defeated, the stars would once again resume their movement, perhaps revealing the elusive path to Nokron. Go with Blythe, should General Radahn.
Alright, so just kind of repeats himself there. Nothing new to buy. Let's go ahead and level up. So I should now be able to use the goofy little flame thing in my left hand. And it should be like literally broken in this version of the game. I've never used this, so hopefully it works super strongly. How does this work? So, okay, bear witness is default. Oh. I obviously am a very skilled pro at using this skill. Interesting that they fade to gold. I just now realized. Alright, enough of these guys. Let me test it on something maybe a little bit more stable. Alright, let me go... Let's do the one Erdtree avatar down here. Ponyboy, welcome back. Did the community ever settle on if Selene is evil or just set up as the Graven Witch? Or did you just get baited by a smart lady? So I think you got baited more by like taupes. But yeah, it's pretty clear that she's morally dark gray, let's say. I wasn't even trying to engage this as much as like one-shot it. You could have sworn black holes were still a theory? Oh, in like the headgear? That'd be interesting. Puzzle-headed thinks the dark moon, black moon are all a solar eclipse, and the blood moon is a lunar eclipse. Kind of makes sense why Mikkel is associated with the cold and blood. Yeah, those are also possibilities. I just kind of leave my mind open, just because there's a little bit of too much of a lack of information for me to like fully buy into one thing. It's weird how the sorcerers love the stars so much, but the sun gets no attention. Alright, so this should be good enough. Minor Erdtree. And this weapon is unupgraded, so I don't expect it to be like crazy, but who knows. Crazy. Takes a while to land at. I feel like I'm doing it wrong. Do I need to like two-hand it? I can't two-hand it. That's strange. Oh wait. Am I... No, I do have the proper attributes for this. Alright, I have no idea what I'm doing with this weapon, obviously. How is you getting baited by taupes? Is he evil? No, he's just deluded. He thinks Selene's a good girl because he has a little bit of a crush on her. It's pretty sure you're implied that the Newmen are from space? Yeah. I would agree with that. At the very least, they're from quote-unquote outside the lands between. So, it kind of sounds like space based on like what we know about them. This thing doesn't realize my stomp is better. Poor thing. I take it back. Alright. Did they specify what kind of broken it was? Like, it's supposed to pretty much take the properties of the one weapon and just, like, apply it with all the flame that it produces. But that wasn't producing flame. So maybe it's better in like 1.01, like the first day patch, before it worked. Because Ziona said it was broken yesterday, but he made it sound like it was broken, like unfunctional or dysfunctional, I guess. Let's try it again. Oh, so this thing's scripted to turn around, I guess. Let's try the old Swapperoonie. Ow. Wait. Oh, it's because I was on the ground, damn it. Of course, I rolled too early. It's whatever. What did Stella say? Oh, okay. So Bear Witness is still a thing. I can't dual hand that no matter what I do. And it still does Bear Witness in the right hand. But it did Bear Witness in the left. I don't know. Okay. So I need to right-hand it? So we could probably do this at a bit of a distance now, right? Not like that, though. Might be related to the one status exploit with Fire's Deadly Sin they recently patched out in terms of how the bug works then. How does that work? Punching from horseback is objectively funny. Oh, did I? Oh, I thought it like made the stomp sound. And not stomp, but like the crit sound. I tried rolling. Run. Should have just done it immediately, I guess. That sucks. Alright. Not as effective as Hoarfrost Stomp so far. I don't think like the bug is working properly. Which is a little bit of an ironic statement, I guess. I'll look it up, maybe, if I remember to do that after stream. Cerulean Crystal Tear and a Ruptured Crystal Tear. The Ruptured one is kind of funny, at least for like PvP. I think they nerfed it though. Like you can equip 2 of them and deal like 600 damage, which will like one-shot anybody if you like buff up your holy damage that you can deal. So you just become like a kamikaze invader. Alright, so what was I doing? We talked to Iji. Oh yeah, Radahn Festival. I can teleport to the plaza? It was something like if you use Blood Flame Blade and then cast Fire's Deadly Sin, the latter's damage tick would apply bleed buildup. Yeah, that's kind of what the strat was for this. Alright. I'll just keep it on, I guess. So if I get like the Antspur Rapier thing, I'll try that out with the dragon thing to see if it does like rot damage. Wait, do I have anything like that? No, okay. I have Redulia, but I mean, my Uchikatana is the same thing. We weren't applying Frost. I have a feeling like it's not working properly, or I don't know how to do it. Because I thought it had to be in the left hand, so it just might not work in this version of the game. It would have been cool if the devs allowed a dual-wielding Ash of War moveset if you managed to have two weapons with the same Ash of War. This should be added. So you mean just like power stancing Ashes of War? Kind of. Alright, so now that we've initiated the Radahn Festival, we should be able to see a bunch of the random NPCs. So Finger Maiden Theralina, she will bow and like give us a gesture. Polite bow. This is a Celavis puppet. We have good old Alexander. And this dude I should have like taken account of in one of my videos. So this is kind of problematic to me because as far as we thought, like Okina was just mad. But him showing up here and not being hostile to us all shows that there is a bit more to Okina than meets the eye. Yeah, I'll leave him alone for now, but I was going to talk about him, but that'll make more sense when we get to the mountaintops. So I walked too far forward.
The stars have aligned. The festival is nigh. General Radahn, mightiest demigod of the Shattering, awaits you. Champions, prepare for battle. Defeat the general, claim glory, and grab that great rune. A celebration of war. The Radahn Festival!
Alright, so that's him. I thought there was one other dude. I guess there's no Tragoth here? Maybe he's just like not in this version of the game. I don't know. Oh, there's the one item talking about him, but not really.
Thought I might find you here. I must admit, I was a little worried. We missed our meeting.
I forgot to talk to him after Celavis and Selin.
You
Oops.
must have heard by now, right? That Starscourge Radahn holds
Lionel, okay.
stasis. But once he's out of the way, it'll spring back into motion. So now, we stand against the demigod once known as the strongest of them all. The way ahead is pleasingly simple. We fight, sword and fang.
Once more into the fray together, eh? This might even be fun.
Alright, so we know we've been charged with this mission. I do like how in the different parts of the quest, like if you skip certain things, like the dialogue changes slightly to reflect that. So he told us like we missed his meeting point, so that's a little bit of a dev hint, like on a subsequent New Game Plus or whatever, to go meet him again, I guess. Alexander. Yeah, we talked to him after the Gale Tunnel, so we should be good here.
Ah, you came. How delightful. Indeed, I thought I might find you here. By the by, do you know for whom this festival is being held? Well, it is none other than General Radahn himself. To think, I could face a great champion of the Shattering, a demigod in the flesh. Oh, God. In truth, I quiver at the thought. Such is his frightful repute. But the fear simply assures me the ordeal is worth undertaking. Be sure to get a good vantage, my friend. I, Iron Fist Alexander, do hereby vow to unflinchingly brave this ordeal. Be sure to get a good vantage, my friend. I, Iron Fist Alexander, do hereby vow to unflinchingly brave this ordeal.
Alright, so those are the NPCs in this version of the game. No Lionel, and I'm pretty sure there was Tragoth too. You might be able to summon them, I don't know, I'll look. You can also summon patches for this. Let's talk to our boy Jerren.
Are you good and prepared, young chum? The festival begins. I see. When you are ready, come to me again.
So it's kind of cool that when we talk to Jerren and actually begin the festival, it will set the time of day to night.
Are you good and prepared?
And we also get this cutscene. Yeah, Gale, essentially. Iron Jar Fire Upcut Ashabor.
Before we begin, allow me to paint you the full picture. General Radahn is cursed ever to wander. Eaten from the inside by Melania's scarlet rot, his wits are long gone. Now he gathers the corpses of former friends and foes alike, gorging on them like a dog. Howling at the sky. But now, we must make merry.
O gathering of champions, the revels begin. The celebration of war. The Radahn Festival!
Heartening cry. I wonder if the reason the Radahn Festival has to take place at night is because, like, he needs the stars to align to, like, make him mortal? I don't know. Haven't really thought about it that way before.
You will find the field of battle past the church ahead, upon the shore under the fort. General Radahn is there, even now, divested of his wits, devouring corpses, and howling at the sky.
So, this is the flamberge that I talked about earlier. It wiggles.
You will find the field of battle past the general and
yeah, and when in doubt, rule of cool. Easier to kill since he has to focus more power on the stars. I don't know about that. I think, like, if Radahn ever got killed, the stars would stop being halted and he could get got. But we don't know. Alright, so coming into this church of the Redmane Castle, we don't have the same statues that we find in Stormvale. We've got the Urn Lady instead of, like, the Bush Boy. If it is a boy. And, like I said before, same layout as Castle Soul, but there's, like, no banners in here. And it got put to late night after the Jerren cutscene, because before it was, what, early day? Alright, so I'll look for a couple of the summons. I might not summon them, or I, like, might die in the pursuit. 5,600 runes isn't, like, a crazy amount. Darkmoon also shows up, so it could be a themes thing relation to Ranni taking power. Alright. So we do have Lionel, who works with Thea. Oops. We do have Horned Tragoth and Okina. I think the next ones are like Alexander and Blythe. Wait, it went through it! It shouldn't go through it. It should actually get halted on the thing. Yeah, this is Millennia's music in retail. Yeah, so even like Morgott had Millennia's music. A lot of the music and visual effects were not very finalized when the game went quote-unquote gold. Maybe it's nice to emphasize his control over the night and to justify showing the stars moving again after the fight. I think, like, rule of cool is the real deal. Okay, that time it got hit properly? Just screw me then, huh? I should have remembered that I can't actually dodge that one on Torrent. Okay, now we're good. I forgot to look at the summons, that's why it was taking so long to go over there. I am an idiot. Alright, if I get got, I get got. Said Ivan Drago. Where's the thing? Did they disappear already? No. I think that's the first set. Just end me, we're done. Okina. No, maybe I should go for it, I don't know. I'm gonna die. Okay. His hitboxes are gonna be screwed up. This is pre-nerf Radahn, but I mean with Hoarfrost Stomp, he's pretty easy to kill because he's a big boy. So he's gonna get hit like multiple times. How much of this game is intentional, not just it'll do? Dangerous question. Now we should be in the clear. Unless we get hit by one of those random arrows. Yeah, I don't know how, like, no-hit runners are supposed to do this section. I mean, obviously there's probably a strat, but I feel like the random barrage of arrows he has is kind of bullcrap. Alright. Probably should have just kept going for it. Where is he at, George? Pre-nerf this, jerk. So we do have the moon appearing there. Remembrance of the Star Scourge and his great rune. So yeah, that's Radahn compared to a Crucible Knight. It needs to be banned. Don't worry, it got banned. We were pre-batch as well, yeah. Oh, any ideas about the spirit flags? So these things kind of show up in Leyndell as well, but I don't really know if they have like a ton of significance. Just a good old rule of cool. So it's always a good answer. So we... Oh, I forgot to look for like patches in Theralina because I was too busy stomping.
Hello there. was a battle marvelously fought. You are well and truly a champion, friend. I, on the other hand, am nothing but a crock. One hit was all it took to crack me, and for my insides to come spilling out. After that, I hid like a coward. And as such, I can hardly stand to face one such as you. But don't you think I've given up just yet. As luck would have it, there's a veritable mountain of warriors' bodies right here. If I can just squeeze this bunch down inside me, I'll be a mighty warrior again in no time. And you know, the bodies found here are exceedingly fine. Who could expect any less from the very warriors who fought in the Shattering? The greatest of all wars. Just you wait and see, friend. I'll grow even stronger. Just you wait when next we meet.
So now that I think about it, Alexander's just kind of like the Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz. He lost his stuffing and now he has to put it back inside him. But this just kind of confirms that the living jars are made of like corpse meat, essentially, like the raw dumplings, I guess. And so it is a question whether or not like Alexander's guts are like literal guts, or if it's just something that can be, hold on, let me rephrase that. Like it's a question of whether like he's intrinsically brave or if it's extrinsic and it comes from like the actual parts of the warriors inside him. So despite him like repairing himself and all that, like he doesn't really fundamentally change at the end of his quest. Well, I guess you can get like his item, but I don't know. I feel like Alexander's cool just being Alexander, and he kind of exists separately from his meat parts, but I don't really know mechanically if that's true or not. It's horrifying, but you love Alexander too much to be put off. Gotta stuff these bodies and man, I'll be good. And that's just kind of like one of the funniest things to me. Like, the most grotesque of creatures becomes like the unofficial mascot of the game. People were in love with the jars as soon as they ever got revealed. It's kind of like the Mimikyu. Like, the Pokemon franchise tried so many iterations of like Pikachu clones that just never ever caught on. And then as soon as they like introduced like the actual legitimate rip-off Pikachu, people like fell in love with it. Just the irony of it is just really funny to me. Yeah.
The bodies found here are exceedingly fine. Who could expect any less from the very warriors who fought in the Shattering? The greatest of all wars. Just you wait and see, friend. I'll grow even stronger. Just you wait when next we meet.
Yeah, Teen Sith brings up the Kool-Aid Man question. Is it the Kool-Aid that makes the man, or is it the glass? I think I saw like a random green text shitpost in reply that it's like, you fool, you absolute buffoon. Is a man made up of their muscles or their bones? And just like, it's both in tandem together, which makes a man. The Kool-Aid Man is no different. So maybe that's the answer. It's the jar and the guts. What if he had a face?
All right, lads. I'm going to take you on a little journey. You'll all be inside me and be part of me. From now on, we're all in it together. So, let's all of us dream big. All right, lad. You're from
So that's it with Alexander for now. I'm pretty sure, like, as we talk to Blythe, the moon disappears. It's like, my job here is done. But I might be misremembering. But this is also a good spot to get, like, really edgy photos for Blythe. That now that I've, like, released that curse knowledge into the universe. Although I'm sure, like, the real curse knowledge comes from things not found in the game.
Ah, good. I was waiting for you. Oh, what a sick way to fight, eh? The glory of the clash is shared by Radahn and you. And did you see that afterwards? A falling star right before our eyes. I can't fathom how Radahn was holding back something of that scale. He was a living legend if ever I saw one. And the path has now been cleared. To Nokron, where Ranni's fate will be decided. Let's meet where the falling star bit the earth. We'll take up our swords once more for Mistress Ranni.
You don't remember Alexander giving his guts a pep talk? I don't know if that got patched out. That'd be kind of interesting if they did, though. So apparently I was misremembering with the moon thing with Blythe. Maybe, like, the time changed when I looked at it the one time with him. What was I gonna say about him? He talks about Nokron. Oh, yeah. And in back of my day playing Elden Ring, you young whippersnappers, we didn't get any helpful, map designators telling us that a meteor fell in the Mistwood Forest. I keyed.
Let's meet where the falling star bit the earth, and we'll go into battle again. Side by side. My only purpose is to fight for Ranni's fate, sword and fang. The curtain's rising. On the final act.
Yeah, I don't remember him saying, like, that bit about the falling star exactly like that. He might say it that way, but I don't remember it. Yeah, no, I found it without the little map marker. But it's kind of funny to be like how many people complain about that, of all the things. Like, I mean, I get it. There is kind of a certain appeal to having a game that doesn't hold your hand so much. And, like, the FromSoft games are kind of notorious for being that way. So it just does seem a little bit heavy-handed for them to start doing it. Because, I mean, to be fair, like, when we first got the game, there were no, like, NPC markers. And now there are. So, I don't know, like, I think it's definitely more useful for the casual player. I also did, like, you know, notating my own map to just kind of remember where things were. So, I think it's useful, because I don't remember if, like, the nomadic merchants are marked off, but, like, on my version of the game, like, before the markers got released, like, I still have, like, everything marked, so I know where, like, pretty much everything is on my version. But I digress.
Let's meet where the falling star bit the earth.
Yeah, okay. Where the falling star bit the earth. Yeah, that's just kind of different phrasing than I remember. Did I touch this yet? Okay, that might have been what changed it. That was weird. So maybe that, it got changed a bit more with the retail. I don't know. So, the Radahn battlefield, there's a bunch of swords. There's a bunch of the ones that he uses specifically, which is kind of funny to me. But I don't really think there's like a ton that needs to be talked about here. I did try to like go see the ship in the distance, but there's really nothing there. We do have the one, like, War-Torn Catacombs, or whatever it's called. Which is, it's a pretty cool place. It's a good place to get levels. Because the enemies kind of fight themselves, but... Let's level up. So we can level up 4 times. Just, don't think there's anything that, like, can really one-shot me unless we start dealing with, like, Rykard. But we'll be going to, like, Radio Caria next, so... Not going to worry about that so much for now. So let's just make our brain good. Okay, he does say that in retail. Thank you, Teen Sith. Yeah, it is a fine line between giving too much assistance and being unreasonably difficult. Where are we going next? Nokron. Oh yeah, the other thing, and I guess I could have like pointed this out before I came over here. In this version of the game, you don't actually get teleported to the place anymore. We get closer to where the node is, I think. But Blythe leaves the note telling us to go to like Nokron, or that like a traitor was dealt with. Sort of. But that doesn't appear until after Darrowell is taken care of. So It's pretty clear that the traitor he's talking about is Darrowil. It's a little bit weird that it shows up there. I'm trying to remember where it actually shows up, though. I tend to forget. I think it's further on. It's somewhere. But anyway, like, Blythe is locked up into the Everjail now. Where is that note? Is it like above it? I don't remember. Are the Bloodhound Knights dogs or demi-humans? It's kind of weird, like their proportions definitely aren't like humanoid, so it seems more likely that they'd be demi-humans because they like don't speak either. So it's ambiguous, but if you know they're quote-unquote humans, they're unlike any of the other humans that we meet. But to be fair, I guess like Godfrey and like Renala also don't fit that build either. Or fit that bill, rather. Maybe there's just no note right now. Which is kind of weird. Yeah, I thought the note was like over here. Apparently not. Yeah, so unless it's like deeper in the crater, it's just not here anymore. It's kind of weird saying anymore. It's just not here. Maybe they're like Vargrim trying to become shadows. Yeah, I think that's possible. And also welcome to the stream. Alrighty. So time to show off like one of the cooler areas in 1.0. Although it'll take a little bit of a minute to get over there. Oh yeah, and one of the other interesting things about like the Nokron stuff specifically is how the rocks over here are floating, which kind of does give credence to the idea that Fair Missoula only began to float after being hit by a meteor. But I can understand if people don't believe that for whatever reason. So, I don't think any of these items are particularly important, but I might just be misremembering that from like a New Game Plus standpoint. There is like one obviously like important item here, but you'll know what I mean when I get it. Morrowind's journal system was definitely one of the questlog implementations ever, yeah. But I mean, people, there's a lot of people who still have like a soft place in their hearts for Morrowind. So we get Nokron, the Eternal City. Make our hop, skip, and throw over here. I was afraid I whiffed that for a second. Nascent Butterfly. Is it not here? Or is it like further down? I thought that was supposed to be it. Our Ghost Flame Torch. Oh. Maybe that's it. It seems like there's more mimics there. Grave Violet. Okay. So maybe it's just not here in this version of the game. Bird Bolt. That's unfortunate. So normally in retail, when you like jump up to the top over there, you can get the Ghost Flame Torch, which talks about like the Band of Fallen Hawks. the Berserk reference, essentially. Or do I say, like, the Berserk reference, like it's the only one? Okay. I was wondering if I was going to get the health vial back from that. You love the location descriptions of the navigation mechanics, they're killer. Broke, Farum fell from the sky, awoke, it got lifted into the sky, yeah. Yeah, for a lot of people who do play Morrowind, they do bust out a notebook like it's missed. There's literally only like 1 or 2 quests where the directions are incorrect. Teen Sith's sense of direction is abysmal. You don't say. I play a decent amount of Destiny 2 with Teen Sith, so I'm a little bit familiar with that, so... Alright, so I forgot to talk about this before I just left without looking. When we get into Nokron, in this version of the game, we actually have the Nox. Go figure. Uh-oh. Don't get me. No, I'm a Sky Cat. Lowlander's rune. Clarifying white jerky. Ghost glovewort. And our silver tear husk. So... check out our silver tear husk. Where is it? Remnants of a shield formed from silver sludge. Very descriptive. Alright, and as we come into our cool little plaza in 1.0, we've got some more Nox and some more silver tears, as opposed to like the Fallen Hawk members. So I really do like this iteration of Nokron better. Maybe it's just because I like the Nokron stuff having like the Nox there. Not that there's really anything wrong with the Fallen Hawk boys, but I don't know. There's just a certain appeal to this version of the game, at least. I'll have enough to level up again, I think. So I think there was a decent item over here. Maybe it's just these. The map's intentionally limited in its usefulness. In this, or just like Morrowind? I'm assuming you're still talking about Morrowind. So we got the random silver tears falling. Man, why did it turn? I guess I wasn't crouching and like being quieter. I guess in retail there is still like the one Nox lady on the way to the Mimic tier. Oh yeah, that'll be fun to show off. Golden smithing stone. I think that one was more important in retail, but I don't remember. And then these are just like craftable items, right? we're really going to need like 5 DLCs for this game to explore everything we want to know. You know, you could still have like 2 sequels and 5 DLC, well, 6 DLCs, and probably still not have enough like Dark Souls. There wasn't going to be a map initially, so the one of the game was kind of slapped on, but it works lore-wise. The building is supposed to be shifting anyway. These things hurt. Somber, large, hard smithing stone. So these little gazebo type things are kind of different from the other gazebos that you'd find in like Fair Missoula. Like the center pattern is different, but the center pattern also appears in like Dark Souls 3 in a couple places. So I don't really think it's supposed to have like a ton of significance, but like the glossy patinaed iron metal type thing is traditional like Nox stuff. So despite me just saying like, oh, I don't really think it represents anything, I do think it is kind of indicative of Nox design. Ghost form picker's bell bearing. Okay, so I thought there was a key item. So, alright, I think this is a good spot to stop tomorrow because we can continue, or stop for tomorrow, because this is a good spot to like go into the Mimic tier, the finger blade stuff, Ranni, and then raid Caria, and that stuff should all be grouped up pretty well together. So rather than just like cutting it and chopping it up here, we'll just pick it all up for tomorrow's stream. Well, I guess today's stream technically. So for everyone who's dropped in and watched, thank you once again for the support. And hopefully we'll catch you again at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you again. Last Protagonist out.